Welcome, my dear friends. Today, I have a powerful and fascinating story for you. This story is not just about success. It is not just about money. It is about mindset, confidence, failure, and the courage to never give up. This is the story of a man who was told he would fail, a man who lost billions, a man who was criticized by millions, but still stood up again and again. And in the end, he reached one of the most powerful positions in the world. This is the story of Donald Trump. Donald was born on 14th June 1946 in New York City, America. He was not born poor. His father, Fred Trump, was a successful real estate builder. Fred built houses and apartments for middle-class families, and he was known as a disciplined and hard-working man. From a young age, Donald lived in a world of business. He saw buildings rise from empty land. He saw his father negotiate deals. He saw money being made through vision and courage. But Donald was not a quiet boy. He was energetic, confident, and sometimes difficult. He wanted attention. He wanted to win. He wanted to be known. When Donald was just 13 years old, his parents made a difficult decision. They sent him to a military academy. They hoped the strict environment would teach him discipline. At first, Donald did not like it. The rules were tough. The training was hard. There was no special treatment. But slowly, something changed inside him. The military academy taught him strength. It taught him leadership. It taught him that winners are not born. They are made. Donald worked hard. He became a leader among students. He learned to believe in himself. He learned to never show weakness. After finishing school, Donald joined his father's real estate business. But Donald had bigger dreams. His father built houses for ordinary people. Donald wanted to build skyscrapers. He wanted to build the biggest and most beautiful buildings in the most famous city in the world, Manhattan. Many people doubted him. Manhattan was a dangerous place for business. It was expensive. It was competitive. Experienced businessmen were already there. Donald was young and inexperienced. But he had one powerful thing: belief. Donald saw an old, broken hotel called the Commodore Hotel. Most people saw failure. Donald saw opportunity. He believed he could turn it into something beautiful. It was risky. He had to borrow money. He had to convince investors. He had to convince the government. Many people said no. Many people laughed. But Donald did not stop. He kept going. He kept convincing. And finally, he succeeded. The hotel was rebuilt into the Grand Hyatt Hotel. It became a huge success. Donald's name started becoming famous. This success gave Donald confidence. He started building more and more projects. One of his most famous buildings was Trump Tower. It was not just a building. It was a symbol. It was tall. It was beautiful. It was luxurious. People from around the world came to see it. Donald was no longer just a businessman. He was becoming a brand. His name became a symbol of success and luxury. But life is not always easy, even for successful people. In the early 1990s, Donald faced a terrible time. His businesses started losing money. The economy was weak. His casinos failed. His debts became huge. He lost billions of dollars. Newspapers wrote that he was finished. People said his success was over. Imagine how painful that moment was. Imagine building an empire and watching it fall. Many people would have given up. Many people would have accepted defeat. But Donald did not accept defeat. He believed failure was not the end. He believed failure was a lesson. He worked day and night. He made deals. He negotiated. He rebuilt his business step by step. It was not fast. It was not easy. But slowly, he came back. This is one of the most powerful lessons of his life. Success is not about never failing. Success is about never quitting. Years later, Donald became a television star. He created a show called The Apprentice. In the show, contestants competed for a job in his company. The show became extremely popular. People loved his confidence. People loved his famous words, "You're fired." The show made him even more famous. He was no longer just a businessman. He was a celebrity. Millions of people watched him. Millions of people talked about him. But Donald had one more dream. A dream bigger than business. A dream bigger than television. He wanted to become President of the United States. This was one of the most difficult goals in the world. Many people laughed at him. Many people said it was impossible. They said he had no experience in politics. They said he could never win. But Donald believed in himself. He started his campaign. He spoke in front of thousands of people. He shared his ideas. He faced criticism. He faced opposition. Many people supported him. Many people opposed him. The journey was hard. The pressure was huge. But Donald did not stop. Then, in 2016, something incredible happened. Donald Trump won the election. He became the 45th President of the United States. The man who was doubted. The man who was criticized. The man who failed. He reached one of the highest positions in the world. His journey teaches us something powerful. Life will not always be easy. People will doubt you. People will criticize you. You will fail. You will lose. You will feel pain. But none of that decides your future. Only one thing decides your future, your decision to continue. Donald's life was full of ups and downs. He experienced success. He experienced failure. He experienced victory. He experienced defeat. But through everything, he kept moving forward. He never allowed failure to define him. He never allowed fear to stop him. There were moments when the world was against him. There were moments when everything seemed lost. But Donald had one powerful quality. He believed in himself even when nobody else did. And that belief gave him strength. His story is not just about money. It is not just about politics. It is about mindset. It is about courage. It is about resilience. It is about standing up when life knocks you down. Today, when people look at Donald Trump, they see different things. Some see success. Some see controversy. Some see power. But one thing nobody can deny is his persistence. He proved that your past does not define your future. Your failures do not define your future. Your fears do not define your future. Only your actions define your future. Imagine a young boy in military school, learning discipline. Imagine a young man entering a dangerous business world. Imagine a businessman losing billions. Imagine a man standing in front of millions as president. That is not luck. That is a journey of mindset. And there is one more important lesson in his story. Big dreams attract big challenges. If your dream is small, your problems will be small. But if your dream is big, your problems will also be big. Donald chose big dreams. And he faced big challenges. But he never stopped dreaming. And today, as you listen to this story, remember something important. You do not need to be born rich to learn from his story. You do not need to be a businessman. You do not need to be a president. You only need one thing. Believe. Believe that you can improve. Believe that you can grow. Believe that failure is not the end. Because every successful person you see today was once a beginner. Every strong person was once weak. Every confident person was once afraid. Donald Trump's life teaches us that success is not a straight line. It is a journey full of struggles, failures, and comebacks. And maybe your story is just beginning. Maybe one day people will listen to your story. Maybe one day your struggles will become your strength. And maybe one decision, one belief, one action can change your entire life. Because sometimes The difference between an ordinary life and an extraordinary life is simply the courage to keep going. And that is the true power of never giving up. Donald's victory changed his life completely. The businessman who once spent his days inside tall buildings and meeting rooms was now living in the White House, the most famous residence in the United States. Every decision he made was watched by the entire world. Every word he spoke was analyzed. The pressure was something he had never experienced before. Being president was not like running a company. In business, he made decisions mostly for profit. But now, his decisions affected millions of lives. Every morning, he woke up knowing that the world was watching him. Some people supported him with great passion. They believed he was the strong leader the country needed. Others strongly disagreed with him. They criticized him every day. News channels talked about him constantly. Social media was filled with his name. There was no escape from the attention. For many people, this level of pressure would break them. But Donald had spent his whole life learning how to survive under pressure. From military school to business failures to public criticism, he had faced difficult situations before. He understood something important. When you are at the top, criticism becomes part of your life. Instead of hiding from it, he faced it directly. He continued to speak with confidence. He continued to make decisions. He continued to move forward, even when the world was divided. During his time as president, he faced many challenges. There were political battles. There were global problems. There were economic changes. Some decisions were praised. Some were criticized. But through everything, he remained the same person who believed in fighting until the end. He believed that leaders must be strong, even in difficult times. Then came one of the biggest tests of his political life, the next election. After 4 years, he had to face the people again. He had to prove himself again. The campaign was intense. The competition was strong. The entire country was watching. Donald worked hard to win again. He gave speeches. He traveled. He shared his vision. But this time, the result was different. He lost the election. For many people, losing such a powerful position would feel like the end of everything. Imagine being the president of one of the most powerful countries in the world, and then suddenly, it is over. The power, the position, the authority, gone. Many people expected Donald to disappear quietly. Many people expected him to accept defeat and live a peaceful life. But Donald was not that kind of person. He did not see losing as the end. He saw it as another moment in his long journey. Just like when he lost money in business. Just like when people said he was finished. He had been in difficult situations before. And every time, he found a way to stand up again. After leaving the White House, he returned to his business life. But he did not disappear from public life. He continued to speak. He continued to share his thoughts. He continued to stay active. Because for him, life was never about one victory or one defeat. Life was about the long journey. This is one of the most important lessons from his story. Life moves in cycles. Sometimes you win. Sometimes you lose. Sometimes you rise. Sometimes you fall. But your future depends on what you do next. Donald understood something many people never understand. Losing does not make you weak. Quitting makes you weak. As long as you keep moving, as long as you keep believing, your story is not finished. When people look at Donald's life, they often see the big moments, the tall buildings, the television shows, the presidency. But the real story is not in those moments. The real story is in the invisible moments. The moments when he failed. The moments when he was alone. The moments when people doubted him. Those were the moments that built his strength. Success is not built in comfort. It is built in struggle. Donald's journey shows us that confidence is a powerful force. From a young boy in military school to one of the most powerful leaders in the world, his life was shaped by his belief in himself. Even when he lost billions, he did not lose his confidence. Even when he lost the presidency, he did not lose his voice. Think about this for a moment. Most people give up after one failure. Most people stop trying after one rejection. Most people allow fear to control their decisions. But people who achieve extraordinary things think differently. They see failure as temporary. They see rejection as part of the journey. Donald was never afraid to think big. He was never afraid to take risks. And he was never afraid to stand alone. Of course, his life was not perfect. No life is perfect. He made mistakes. He faced criticism. He faced opposition. But perfection is not the requirement for success. Persistence is. His story teaches us that you do not need a perfect life to achieve big things. You only need determination. Right now, somewhere in the world, there is a young boy who feels small. Somewhere, there is a young girl who feels afraid. Somewhere, there is a person who feels like giving up. And maybe, they believe their life cannot change. But history shows us something different. History shows us that people can rise from failure. History shows us that people can rebuild after losing everything. History shows us that the human mind is more powerful than any obstacle. Donald's life is one example of this truth. He did not control every situation. He did not control every outcome. But he always tried to control one thing, his response. And that is something you can control too. You cannot control how many times life will knock you down. But you can control how many times you stand up. Years from now, people will continue to talk about his life. Some will agree with him. Some will disagree with him. But his journey will always remain an example of persistence. Because his life was not just about business. It was not just about politics. It was about the mindset of continuing forward. And now, as you listen to the end of this story, remember this moment. Right now, your life is still being written. Your failures are not the end of your story. Your struggles are not the end of your story. Your doubts are not the end of your story. They are just chapters. You have the power to continue. You have the power to improve. You have the power to build your own future. Because every great story is filled with challenges. And every strong person is built through those challenges. One day, you will look back at your life. And you will realize that the difficult moments made you stronger. You will realize that the failures made you wiser. You will realize that the struggle made you powerful. And maybe, just like Donald, you will understand one simple truth. Winners are not people who never lose. Winners are people who never stop. If you enjoyed this story and want to improve your English and your life, make sure to subscribe to the channel and join this learning journey with us. And watch the next story on your screen to continue improving your English.